Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. Happy Wednesday. It is hump day. Can't believe it. I actually knew what day it was. Maybe when I don't overthink it, it works. But anyways, I apologize for being late. I just could not get out of bed this morning. So tired. But I know it's Self-Care Wednesday, but I don't think I have anything to talk about today. Oh yeah, that's right. I had some other topics that we haven't gone over yet. So, there's still a lot I haven't. There's still a lot I haven't gone over yet. So yeah, because I build onto the back. I meant to put little stickers in here so I could remind myself. I don't know where they went either. I have little tabby things. Oh, they're there. I have little tabby things. Good morning, Muddy. I know, what is happening, right? I mean, why are we all so tired? I think we're just all mentally exhausted. But that can take it out of you. That can take it all out of you. So anyways, so I'm just going to put these in here while you're watching me. Because, no other reason than I am. So don't ask me. Don't ask me. I don't know what I'm doing half the time. All right. So anyways, I found one just now as I was opening this book and talking. So again, I do apologize for coming on late. Just, I almost canceled the show and I thought, no, I need to not do that. So it's almost the weekend anyways. I think I can power through these. So anyways, oh, look at that. I even brought up the other thing. Yeah, I feel you, Muddy. Definitely mentally exhausted. Yeah, we know why. And, well, I'm assuming I know why you're mentally exhausted. I'm pretty sure. But, yeah, we're just, status quoing very well. So, anyways, so while I try to figure out my life here, please bear with me. This is extra squirrely day today. It's going to be an extra squirrely day today. So, I got these pens, and for the life of me, I can't remember if they were, I don't know. Thought they were supposed to say something, but I guess not. So, today we're going to do what you call the turtle theory. It's also my nephew's birthday, so happy birthday, McCullough. And, yeah, 20. Can you believe that? 20 years old. What the hell? How'd he get so older? Where did my years go? Anyway, black is how I'm feeling today. Just kind of, it is my chosen color right now. So anyway, I'm in mourning for my mental health. But anyways, all right, the turtle theory. I was trying to stall long enough to wait for older sibling come on because I know she's awake. She was texting me this morning, but she may have fallen back asleep. So I don't know. But anyways, the turtle theory by Balt Rodriguez. And I actually Googled him and he posts a lot of good stuff, a lot of good positive stuff. I know that if you're in my stories and you're friends with me, you probably think, how are you a positive person because of all the stuff you're posting? Which, to be honest with you, I don't even know why I post in there because the people that see it already get it. And the people that don't want to see it are going to skip right by it anyway. So it almost makes no sense. But anyways, I know. And I know. But I do post a lot of positive stuff too, okay? I try to break it all up. Anyway, so the turtle theory. So I'm going to read it through and then we'll talk about each one, just like we always do, okay? Because this is Self-Care Wednesday. So the turtle never rushes, yet it still reaches its destination, reminding you that slow progress is still progress. Good morning, older sibling. I stalled just long enough. Yay. You don't have to move at everyone else's pace. The right journey respects your timing. Sorry. Here's Richie. Like a turtle, sometimes the safest thing you can do is retreat, not to give up, but to protect your peace. Growth doesn't always look loud and fast. Sometimes it's quiet, steady, and unseen. The turtle carries its home wherever it goes, proof that your comfort should come from within you, not from others. And lastly, just because you're moving slower doesn't mean you're falling behind. You're just moving with intention. So again, this is the turtle theory by Balt Rodriguez, Baltrodriguez, in case you want to look him up. All right, because he's a worthy Google. He is a worthy Google. So anyways, let's start with the first one. The turtle never rushes, yet it still reaches its destination, reminding you that slow progress is still progress. I find that when people get older, and this is a conversation I've had with myself, and this is a conversation I've had with other people, that they measure where their life is by what other people have done. And that is the last thing you should be doing. Everybody has their own life. Everybody has their own path, their own journey. And, you shouldn't be judging your own progress by somebody else's. Whether it's someone moving way faster than you or saying, wow, I came a lot farther than so-and-so was most likely to succeed, right? You don't want to think that way either, because you don't know what life has handed these people. You don't know. Maybe that person who's super successful gave up a lot and is now sitting there going, I'm sitting in my house alone and I have no one to share this with. And, or maybe you have that one person saying, who got upended in life, most likely to succeed, could have had an accident, could have had a trauma, could have had something that just kind of narrowed their path significantly and put them, behind what they think is, the pack. And that's not true. We're not wild animals, all right? Wild animals generally will travel together, pods, packs. I found out the other day that they call a group of pandas an embarrassment. That is so mean. That is so mean. I mean, yeah, they're kind of clumsy, but I mean, I guess I'm part of the panda family because so am I. I fall down a lot. But they're just enjoying life. They're just these fun, cute, cuddly, animals, fur babies. Oh God, can you imagine owning a panda? It's like just hugging it every day. Anyways, I mean, I don't know what their demeanor is, but they seem pretty chill to me. But I can't believe they called it an embarrassment. It's like, wow, that's just so rude. Like the scientific kingdom, animal kingdom, needs to come up with a better name for them. So anyways, unless there's some kind of scientific term behind embarrassment, but if you're a human, you pretty much know what embarrassment means. So, or even, saw a pod of dolphins on Monday. That was pretty cool. But yeah, or a school of fish. What are they learning? Or is it because they all follow each other in a line? I know, right? Muddy's like, what? Pandas are so cute. I agree. I suggested calling them, a cuteness. Just cuteness. A group of cuteness. Because they're so adorable. And red pandas, when they get scared, they're hilarious. They're freaking hilarious. And I don't know. I guess they're all part of the same family. But, I mean, red pandas look nothing like pandas. But whatever. I digress. It's like somebody got lazy and couldn't give them their own name. They probably named the embarrassment the same day that they named a red panda. So, yeah, I have opinions. I have opinions on the animal kingdom. So anyways, but yeah, the turtle never rushes, yet it still reaches its destination, reminding you that slow progress is still progress. And remember, for a sea turtle, the beginning of their life is harrowing. Okay? Like, I know, right? So I'll get to what Muddy just said really quick, because I was thinking about that when I thought about an embarrassment of pandas. So, anyways, the sea turtles' beginnings are very harrowing because they literally have to run from the shore into the sea. And you never know what is going to be out there waiting for them. Maybe a sea lion. I don't know if they eat turtles or not. But, maybe some kind of animal creature that might eat them when they're little. And so I'm not sure what the success rate is of every single one of them living to adulthood. But... older sibling brought up a good point. I didn't even have my computer on. I will try to find why they call them an embarrassment, but older sibling says, I wonder if the Chinese word for pandas doesn't translate well. But I mean, it's a group, right? It's a group of panda called an embarrassment. And I don't know, but I don't know who named them. Were the Chinese animal kingdom scientists, or, a conglomeration of all different countries naming them, or they're all, wow, how embarrassing. Because, the panda may have fallen off his perch and gone, whoops, and then crawled back up and did it again. But come on, who hasn't done that? Sober. I've done that sober. I mean, hell, I fall out of this chair. Like, I'll be leaning forward and the chair will just go out behind me. And it's like, seriously? And it doesn't happen all the time. So sometimes it just feels like some invisible person is just pulling the chair out from underneath me. And I'm going to stick with that story. It's nothing to do with leaning too far forward. But anyways, the turtles. So, progress is progress, no matter how fast or how slow. Okay, if you are happy with your progress, then absolutely, just keep moving forward. Don't worry about what other people are thinking, and don't worry about what your classmates are doing. Whether someone's behind you, don't judge them, okay? Because remember, someone's still ahead of you, and they may be looking back and judging you going, wow, I really thought they'd be a lot farther in life. And don't judge them either, that might be ahead of you. Because like I said, maybe that's all they have. That's all they have is to focus on all that stuff, on their career. And, maybe they got nothing else, so they don't like to be home because, there's nothing there. So, I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for people. I really can't. But, whatever it is, don't judge them. I mean, people are people. Now I got Depeche Mode in my head. But, anyways, it's always about the music, right? So, anyways, on to the next one. But before I go on to the next one, Muddy brought up a good point. A murder of crows? Why? A murder of crows? Why? Why? Yeah, why? They're the most delightful creatures. They're funny. They're cute. Just like a raven, if they can learn to mimic. And I don't mean like stupid mimic, like where, they're a mockingbird. I mean, they will learn patterns and they will take what they like. And, like someone comes up, hello, and she's like, oh my God, they're so cute. But crows are very smart. They're very, very smart. They, and if you leave them treats, they will bring you things. And I'm not saying leave them treats so they bring you things, but it's almost like they're either showing their gratitude or they're paying their way. You can look at it either way. I like to think they're showing their gratitude. Thanks for putting out these nuts or this bread or whatever it is that they're eating. Thanks for putting out that bowl of water when it's like 1,000 degrees outside. So I don't know why they call them a murder of crows. Maybe that's an old thing from like, when there were, because I mean, I don't think they're scavengers, but hey, they got to eat, right? They got to eat. I don't think they're like vulture scavengers, but I don't know. I don't know either. I don't know much about crows except that I like them. They are in the metaphysical world, they are the go-betweeners. They go between here and the other side. So, they bring the messages, they show the messages. So I just have a very deep respect for crows and ravens. I really like them. And ravens are so pretty, right? If you catch them in the right light, they have purple. They have purple in them. They're like, yeah, we're the fancy crows. We are the fancy crows. But, even the ravens shouldn't be looking down on their fellow smaller bird, I think. But yeah. I squirreled. Anyways, the next one, you don't have to move at everyone else's pace. The right journey respects your timing. So there you go. And like I said, I did a lot of this. I had so many dreams and aspirations when I was in high school. I was going to graduate college. I dropped out in my first semester. I dropped out after my first year. And I thought it was because I was burned out, but when I did my healing journey, I realized it was just because I couldn't focus anymore, and I had that freedom now. It was my choice. I mean, I got in trouble for it, sort of, but, not in bad trouble. Okay. My parents are good people, but it was like, you know what? If you quit school, you're going to get a full-time job and you're going to pay rent. And that alone felt like punishment. But they were smart because they didn't want me just sitting around in my butt doing nothing. So, you think of it as you will, but I appreciated that. And I always knew that was always a stipulation. If you quit school, this is what's going to happen. So, and I did because I couldn't handle it anymore. But the funny thing is when I got older, like older sibling, and I took a class, I took another couple classes online, and I just loved it. I enjoyed it. So I don't know that it was burnout as much as it was just, when you have so much just building and building and building in your heart, your mind, and your soul, you just kind of get lost. You get lost a little bit, and then you just feel very debilitated, and you can't do anymore. So anyways, I kind of fell victim to my own brain, which is sad, but it put me on the journey I'm on. So who knows what path that would have been on. This is the one that I do believe I was meant to be on. And it brought me to the right people in my life. It brought me to the wonderful sibling. It brought me, I think Sammy and I would have met anyway, but I mean, all my friends that are at home in Orange County, it brings you on a different path. So, I realized I didn't put my watch on yet. I'm telling you guys, I am just a mess today. Hot mess. But that's okay. I put on lipstick and mascara for you, so I am a made up mess. But yeah, the right journey will respect your timing. Just the biggest part about that is you have to trust it. Okay? You have to trust the journey. You have to learn to go with the flow. If you feel a blockade coming up, it's because you're forcing something. It's because you're not going with the flow. You're not trusting the path. And this is something my therapist even told me. She's all like, you need to learn how to trust the path and go with the flow. Because she's all, I see you're very, very rigid and very, it's very hard for you to do that. I'm like, absolutely. Right on the nose. So, but we worked on that. And she graduated me from therapy, so I feel like I should have had a better grasp on this by now. But, and it wasn't a fake until you make it why she graduated me. It was just, there was nothing more that we could explore and do, because that was the end of that journey, and so now I have to learn how to really kind of respect the journey. You have to learn to respect the journey as well, because if you don't respect the journey, you are going to, you're going to be like that poor panda that falls off the perch, except you're not going to be happy about it. They're just going to, they just get back up and start doing their thing again, but you're going to be laying there going like, why? Sometimes we make life harder on ourselves than we actually need to. So the next one, like a turtle, sometimes the safest thing you can do is retreat, not to give up, but to protect your peace. Yeah, if someone is disturbing your peace, you do not have to sit there and fight back. You are allowed to walk away. You're allowed to say, you know what, I'm done. And they will chase you. They will holler at you. They will probably call you ugly names. Or say mean things, because they don't want to be done yet, because they have something inside of them that has decided that you are going to be the person they yell at. When this used to happen years and years and years ago, actually I can say about 2 decades ago now, almost. Older sibling would say to me, let's bottom line this. We got to bottom line this. Now, she wouldn't say it all the time, but she would say it a lot. And it's like, all of a sudden it stops you in your track and you're like, like you come back into your body after having that angry out of body experience. And you're like, what the hell was I just doing? Well, who is this person? Why am I like this? So, I know it gets a little upending. It can be very upending. And it can kind of throw you, right? It'll throw you in like 10 directions going, whoa, wait a second. So, and it's like I was telling someone the other day, okay? So there, Sissy Joe and I would sometimes get into it. And, she had stuff in her past that she hadn't healed. I had stuff in my past that I hadn't healed. And she would start the fights and I would not end them. And I know people always say, well, how do you know? It's like, I can honestly guarantee you 99% of the time it was not me. And I'm not trying to make myself a martyr here. Just, something would trigger her. And we didn't understand what triggers were back then, right? We thought that we had, our mental health was fine and we could handle it. But I never finished it. And I think she knew that. I think she knew that if she needed a sparring partner, subconsciously, we would just go at it. We would go at it. And our good times, fortunately, outnumbered our bad times. But boy, our bad times were doozies. And, we talked about this in the very end, and she's all like, and she admitted to it being the one. And she's like, I don't know why. And I'm all just things in. I said, you know what? I said, it's not your fault. I said, you may have started it, but I never finished it until we were both, just war weary, just like rage weary, just kind of like, let's be done with this. And there were times that we didn't talk for a while. So when I took that, and I'm not always good at this. Okay, I'm not always good at walking away. I had a situation over the weekend where I should have just walked away, and I did not. And I should have. And I think that was a lesson for me to not let my triggers get in the way, because they're supposedly healed, right? But I admit my triggers do still come up from time to time. And most of the time I handle them very well. I don't know what happened that day. I would like to say I was possessed, but I really don't think that's it. So I had to take accountability for my actions, and I did. And, I probably caused a rift, and I didn't mean to, but there was a trigger in there, and it was a very painful one. And it was one that I thought I had moved on from. And it kind of blinded me to everything else. It kind of put that veil over me, and I didn't, and like I said, I should have been the turtle. If I had done the turtle theory last week, we probably would not be having this conversation now. But I have to learn that sometimes it's not worth engaging. Just walk away. Because what other people think of you is none of your business, right? One of the best sayings an older sibling ever helped me grasp. 6 of one, half dozen of the other is another. And I'm telling you, it took me years. It took me years to get that right. And I'm like, what? I don't get it. But, or wait, six of, what is it? 6 of one, half dozen of another. Did I see? Look, it's happening again. But anyways, but yeah, so that is one of the best things she ever taught me. What other people think of you is none of your business. And I should have left it at that, but I did not. I picked up something that I should not have picked up and ran with it. And I'm paying for it now. But it is what it is. And I can't go back and undo it. As older sibling would also say, you cannot unring a bell. So I cannot unring that bell. But I did learn from it, and I did I journaled about it, and I really did try to take, the accountability on it, because I finally realized when that rage was gone, that it's like, oh yeah, you know what? I totally misinterpreted all of that. So, I just, I don't like being used as an example for something, especially when it was a very traumatic part of my life. But, and I mean, okay, so let me put it this way, because now I'm really digging a hole here. I do share my story to help other people heal theirs, okay? But the context in which I read this thing, it felt accusatory. And I was telling older sibling, and it probably wasn't, I don't think it was intended that way, but that's how it felt, because that was my trigger. And I told older sibling, I said, from people I don't know, I expect this, because you can't handle what people are going to say. From people I do know, and this is not the first person who's ever done this to me, I expect a different level of understanding, or at least ask me about it before you start commenting about it. Because there was a lot that went into a choice I made once, and, so yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm the one that blew that one out of the water. But like I told sibling, I said, I take full accountability, because that's part of my healing journey. And I don't mean for other people to get hurt in that healing journey, but sometimes it does happen. We're going to have a misstep. All right. So I think this is probably, of all the turtle things, the turtle theory, this is the most important one. The safest thing you can do is retreat, not to give up, but to protect your peace. And that goes across the board in everything. If it's an argument, you are allowed to retreat. You are allowed to walk away, no matter what that person is saying to you. Just say, you know what? If I sit here, we are not going to be talking anymore. Okay? Or if I sit here and have this argument, it's going to get worse. And all we're doing now is going in circles. And we do not need to be going in circles, because we're not solving anything. We're making it worse. Okay, right? That's a scenario. And that's just a made up scenario that came out of my head. It is okay to protect your peace. If someone's out there causing trouble and they start yelling at you for no reason, just walk away. Just walk away. Make sure you're safe, but walk away. Walk into a bar, or a restaurant, or somewhere that it has people in it so you feel safe. And, you know, if you have to, let the person at the front go, no, I'm really sorry. I don't mean to be in here, but, you know, I'm having a bit of an issue outside. So, and, you know, I'm assuming 9 times out of 10 people will be understanding. You know, they'll just, you know, people, there are still very good people in this world. So the next one, growth doesn't always look loud and fast. Sometimes it's quiet, steady, and unseen. You know, it is growth. That's a toughie. And I don't know why. Like, I have all these thoughts running through my head and I think it's hard to just pick one, but growth is, it's such a personal thing, right? And this kind of goes to the first one about progress. You know, slow progress is still progress. Don't worry about what the person behind you or the person in front of you is doing, or the person behind you and the person in front of you is doing. Just keep your eyes on your own paper, right? And I say that a lot. I'm so sorry, right? Okay. So it doesn't get any better, does it? So yeah, growth doesn't always look loud and fast. I'm gonna extend this again to my personal healing journey. And because again, yes, I share my story to help other people heal theirs, but I also share my story because I want it to be relatable. And so I will share a lot of experiences from my life because I don't want to share other people's experiences. I don't always have permission to do so. There are some people I do have permission to do so, carte blanche, but there are other people who I don't. But I also know my journey the best. And when I first started my healing journey, I thought, okay, we're done. You know, it was really after my mom died. In fact, yesterday was exactly 12 years from the day that she called me and told me that she had pancreatic cancer. And, you know, like stage 4, which basically she was diagnosed at terminal. All right. Yeah, Mrs. Lucas, you have like 5 months to 2 years to live. She lasted 4, almost 4, not quite 4. 117 days from now until the day she died, or yesterday to the day she died. But my healing journey really started after she died, because all I kept hearing in my head is, you got to be stronger, you got to be stronger. And I thought, you know, okay, I'm stronger now. I faced my demons and I'm done. No, it was a long journey because I did not trust the process. I did not respect the process, and I did not go with the flow. So it took me almost a decade to get where I'm at now. Not quite a decade, but pretty close, pretty damn close. By the time I hit 50, I thought to myself, you know, my mom died when I was 42. So I was, our birthdays would have been that following January. But, when I hit 50, I'm all, fuck this, you know, okay, excuse my language, but no, I said, you know what, I'm done with this journey, because all I'm doing is rehashing it because I'm so afraid to move forward. I'm so afraid to do whatever it is I'm supposed to be doing. And I think a lot of the reason I've been single and a lot of reasons why I never became a mom is because I hid inside of myself. I was so afraid that I would do and get everything wrong. And so I didn't go with the flow. I didn't respect it. And maybe that was the point of the journey, so that I can sit here now and tell you, hey, by the way, don't do that. Don't do what Shelley did. Shelley Marie was not right. But at the same time, I think that was my path. That was my journey. So that we can talk about it now. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. I really am. I'm not a martyr. I'm not a saint. I'm not anything but somebody who could not figure out their journey and is here now to try to help people on theirs, so that you don't waste time moving through it. So that you learn how to respect the journey. You learn how to trust it. You learn how to go with the flow. And I'm still learning these things now, because sometimes it scares me to let go of that control. And yet I know I need to. I know I need to. For instance, we went fishing on Monday, okay? Bestie Susan Bestie Susan took us out fishing. And we had a whole lovely Sunday and Monday with her. And older sibling and I have sworn we're never going to eat again, because damn, that was a lot of eating. But, you know, we went fishing, and everything older sibling taught me, I had to relearn, because the person on the boat that we were on, the fishing boat that we were on, was showing us a different way. And, you know, I know myself. 20 years ago, I would have been like, well, that's not what she said. or that I would have been combative, not on purpose, or, but I would have kind of been like that know-it-all, right? Like, well, that's not what she told me. And how come there's no live fish debate? How come there's this? How come that? Because we were doing a different kind of fishing. We weren't deep sea fishing. We were bay fishing. Okay. And I was just sitting there and, when I think back on it now, I think, wow, you know what? It's like I took direction. I didn't fight it. I didn't argue it. I didn't anything. I just took direction, said, okay. And not because somebody else was paying for it, not because somebody else was, it was somebody else's boat. It's because I know that they know what they're doing. I also know that older sibling knows what she's doing. And, and when her and I are alone and we're out fishing, I will take direction from her. But because I don't know how to do all this stuff by myself. This is not something I do on the regular. It is not my hobby. I just enjoy it. And I'm one of those weirdos, okay, that will catch and release. I will not keep it. I will not keep it. I don't care if it's huge and ginormous, all right? If I catch a marlin, it's going back in the water, which I probably never will because, no, let's face it, those are hard. But I could barely bring in a sand bass. But it was big, though. It was like 18 inches. I caught a small, medium, and large. Yep, small, medium, and large. I have no shame. I was excited. The very first fish I caught was like 6 inches long. I was like, oh my God, I caught something. But my point is that I realized this was growth. This was me going, okay, you know what? You don't have to be in charge of everything. You don't have to be in control of everything. Just go with the flow. Just let it happen. Do what you need to do. When someone's telling you, no, keep letting the line go, you don't get mad. You just go, okay. And I said, oh, okay. And, and then I never realized that I was just kind of flowy that day. And now when I think back on it, I'm like, wow, you know what? That was definitely some personal growth, but it took me a long time. Now, I'm not saying it's going to take you 8 to 10 years to get through all your healing. It's hard to face it. Okay. Healing is not easy. It will cause you to relive and reface everything you've had to go through. And that may not be for everybody, which is why I always say that if you're going to do this, if you're going to do shadow work, if you're going to do some kind of like, we were talking about tapping to help. I tried that for weight loss. It did not work, but I was also in a different place then. So it might now, but, we talked about all these different things, and, it might bring up things, and it'll bring up things that may be too painful for you to think about. And that's not going to be for everybody. And there are some people that are just going to move in a different direction. For me, I had to move through it to get through it. I didn't have a choice. The other side was literally me having to push through all these things. If you're going to follow that path, I beg you, please find the healthiest support group you can find who will just listen to you, all right? Or who will pick up the phone when you are crying. And make sure you have more than one person because your people get busy. And there will be times when nobody picks up. And when that happens to me, I think, okay, what lesson am I supposed to learn on my own here? And that'll give you time to practice everything you learn, to put into effect all the tools that you are gaining throughout this journey. I also heavily suggest getting a therapist. Okay, a counselor of some sort. Now, I know that's not always easy for people. They don't always want to do it. Remember, they have apps now. You do not have to go to somebody physically. You can see somebody online. And I know it can be expensive, which is why I suggest the support group. Now, also check out your local community centers because sometimes they do have volunteers who are therapists for, lower income people. So that will work on a pay scale. And so that I think is also very beneficial. So, it can be harrowing. It can be very harrowing. And I know that sounds dramatic, but it is absolutely the truth. But again, growth doesn't always look loud and fast. Sometimes it's quiet, steady, and unseen. And as I mentioned before, Monday, when I'm looking back on it now, it's like, wow, I really have come a long way. Older sibling tells me that all the time. Well, you've come a long way. And it's just like, no, I don't think so. And I don't know. You don't need to hold on to the past in order to move forward. Sometimes it's just better to let it go. And for those of us who don't know how to just let it go and, just let it fly into the wind saying, well, it happened. As my mom would say, don't look back, you're not going that way. For those people that are able to heal themselves and just let it go because there's nothing they can do about it. I feel like older siblings like that. Yeah, I dealt with it, and I moved on. And I'm always trying to say, no, you haven't, because I think that's literally me holding up a mirror to myself. And I need to stop that. I really do. I am not afraid to tell you my shortcomings because they're there. They're there. I think when you're on a healing journey, you're going to find things that just kind of smack you upside the head and go, oh, I guess I'm not done with that. So just pay attention to your own path. This is one of the reasons why I journal. Sometimes I'll go back to an old journal and go, wow, I really have come a long way. I am definitely not the same person I was when my mom died. I am much different. I am the person that I think she always hoped I would be, strong. But at the same time, I went about it, against everything she believed in. I embraced my mental health. She says, well, you're not depressed. You just need to be stronger. It's like, yeah, thanks for putting me behind 20 years. But I respected her and I listened to her and I thought, okay, well, if mom knows, so, and it was dumb because I was an adult. I should have made my own choices. But I always tried to make sure that, I did the right things in her eyes. And yeah, but like I said, I can look back at that and be mad like I used to be, or I can look at it now and say, you know what, maybe she didn't get it, but that's why I'm here talking to people now, because I can use that experience to tell other people, if someone else tells you this, do what you need to do. Don't worry about them. They don't have to know about it. I was trying to be open and honest about it. And, and instead of saying, okay, well, too bad, I'm still doing it, I just went in the other direction. I turtled in a bad way. So not like these turtles, okay, like hockey turtling, where you start something and then you can't finish it. But yeah, anyways, and you know me, guys, I love turtles. I literally have one tattooed on my back. So the next one, the turtle carries its home wherever it goes, proof that your comfort should come from within you, not from others. Again, what other people think of you is none of your business, but also you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you go out there and say, oh, that birthday party brought me so much joy, buying that present for that person brought me so much joy, I'm so glad that they loved it. And, you get home and by the next day, all that joy that you used to fill up your cup is gone now. Because that was based in someone else's world. Yes, it started with you. Yes, it was you going, oh, I'm going to get them this because I think they'll love it. Or you're going for the Hallmark moment where maybe they have a tear. And then all of a sudden it's gone. Because you have to figure out how to find your own joy. You have to find that joy from within. Maybe it's watching cat videos or, older sibling loves elephants. So she's kind of gotten me into that. And sometimes I will just lay in bed and I don't know why we'll be talking about elephants and, the whole world's listening now, right? Because on my YouTube, it's like all of a sudden in my feed is this guy playing a piano for Asian elephants. And I say Asian elephants because there are different elephants. He's in Thailand. But, and so the distinction, because this is what older sibling taught me, the big-eared ones, and obviously the ones you find in Africa, but they're not always going to be in Africa, okay? Sometimes they're in the zoo. If you find the big-eared elephants, those are the African elephants. If you find the smaller-eared elephants, those are the Asian elephants. So I don't know why they have different sized ears. I don't know. Why do humans have different sized ears? So anyways, but yeah, it's, home is where you choose to make it. Home is in your heart. It's where you thrive. It's where, you're happy. It's not a joke either. I was going to say I joke all the time. I always say I want to move to London because I'm telling you, that was the happiest I'd ever been in my entire life. Well, maybe not my entire life, but in the life that I can remember right now, I felt like I was home. I know that sounds silly. We talked about that this weekend, right? Because our friend that came out, she's like, yeah, whenever I come back to California, it's just like I feel like I'm home or something like that. Like I feel comfortable here, like it's my happy place. And I think, but it is expensive to live here. But if you haven't already established, if you're just moving in, it's going to be hard. If you've been established here for many, many years, it's still hard, but a little bit easier. But But yeah, it just, and it's not that I don't love my country. I love this country despite a few things in this country. But this is where I was born, you know. Oh, there's my crow. I love it just walking up the rooftop. It's like a slant too, so they probably don't care because they're like, yeah, if I fall off, I'm just going to fly away anyway. Sorry, squirrel. But, now they're walking down the other side. I'm sorry. You just see little tail feathers disappearing. It's the cutest thing in the world. Oh, there's another one. I'm sorry. This is why at home, when I'm home, it's much better that I don't have a window in front of my face. But anyways, where was I? Oh yeah, it should come from within you. It should come from, what brings you joy, things that you do that make you happy, that make you smile. That's how you fill your cup, and that's a great part of the turtle theory. They carry their homes everywhere they go, right? If you ever watch Finding Nemo, they're on the EAC, just being all chill and cool and everything. You see tortoises, right? Tortoises just walking through the desert, just doing their thing. Land turtles. The tortoise. They should have just called them land turtles. I mean, they call turtles sea turtles. Why can't we just call them land turtles? Because that's really what they are. They're like little, sea turtles are like the cabin cruisers, right, of the ocean, and land turtles, tortoises, are like the RVs, the little camper shells, right? Because they call them camper shells. They're like the little campers of the land. But and they're not very fast. I'm sure they're fast if they need to be. But yeah, and sometimes they're mean. I was watching a video and this one turtle just knocked the other one onto his back, and that is dangerous. Do not ever knock a turtle on their back, because the shell is their home. That's their body. That is basically what you see right here. That's theirs. And when you knock them on their back, they will burn. Okay? They will literally cook from the outside in. So don't do that. If I ever find you doing that, I will pick up a rock and hit you with it. After I'm done recording you flipping it, so they understand why I hit you with that rock. But first I will right the turtle. So yeah, I know, and I'm terrible. Older siblings on now, and I'm gonna tell her if I ever go out fishing again, I am a pure catch and release person. Okay, I can't. I'm sorry, I can't. I cannot. I already feel bad putting a hook in their face, but there's something so peaceful being out on the water. And most of the time, people have fishing poles when you're doing it. So I just feel bad. It's like, oh, you poor thing. I mean, come on. She took me fishing years. The very first time she took me fishing, I heard her dad say to her, did she just apologize to the fish? Because they were live bait. They're live bait, right? And you're holding it and you're putting a needle through its face and sending it off to its potential death. And I'm just like, I'm really sorry. It's like, I'm so sorry. Looking it in the eye. And then older siblings like, did you really just, hey, look, I said, if someone's going to stick a needle in my face, they better apologize to me first. And she's like, but they don't care. It's like, how do you know? Someone's sticking a needle through your face? Because I'm telling you, my cousins were fishing beach, shore fishing. And she got hooked in the face by my cousin's 3-pronged hook. And she said it hurt. Mm-hmm. So anyways, older siblings said, I got bit hard by a turtle. Okay, so there's another lesson. Don't put your hand in a turtle's mouth. I feel for her. Of course I feel for her. But obviously that turtle felt a little unnerved. So not her fault, because she is like Dr. Doolittle. Okay, I mean, she is like, she can talk to the animals. So, for whatever reason the turtle bit you, I can't tell you. It's not your fault. It's not its fault. But just, people, keep your fingers and your hands away from the mouths of animals. I got bit by a duck once. And those buggers, it hurt. It hurt because they clamped down hard. And it's just like, son of a bitch. It hurts. But I had fries on me. So, and I think it mistook my finger for a fry and tried to eat it. So I just, the guy I was seeing at the time, threw another fry and it let me go. Thank God. So this is years ago. It was my last boyfriend. So that's how long ago it was. So Muddy says snapping turtles can break a finger. So again, people, keep your fingers away from a turtle's mouth. It's simple rules. Do not touch the turtle. Yeah, I love turtles, but I would not put my hand near one. Maybe a baby turtle, because they're so cute, you know. But yeah, big turtle, they're just like, So anyways, here's the last one. Just because you're moving slower doesn't mean you're falling behind. You're just moving with intention. So I'm going to give a weird example because it's the one that just popped into my head. All right. You will have a person that needs to go to church for 1 hour every Sunday. That was my mom. Well, the least you can do is give God an hour of your time. It's like, Mom, I give God a lot of my time. Okay. Not just 1 hour. And, I cheated too, but that was just her way of trying to make me go. So, you know, but you will have someone go to church for an hour. They'll sit, stand, kneel, because we're Catholic, right? Sit, stand, kneel, sit, stand, kneel, sit, stand, kneel. And then, you know, you could go to a Buddhist temple and you will find, or even a Hindu temple, and you will find people sitting there for almost 3 hours just meditating, right? Oh, older sibling says it was in a petting zoo and I was trying to give it food. I'm sorry, but I'm Team Turtle. I love you, sibling, but I'm Team Turtle. You know, I mean, yeah, were you a little kid at the time, or I don't know. And you know, it could just be that, like with the duck that bit my finger, it would just, you know, I was handing it French fries. I know I probably shouldn't have been feeding it French fries, but it was like a community, you know. It was the duck that lived on the lake in in the middle of all these houses. So, you know, I'm not sure what their eyesight is like. Their eyesight may not be all that great. So, you know, it could have just been that it was trying to get the food and you were just in the way. Or like you always say about, horses that are in barns, they become barn sour. Maybe these petting zoo animals were just petting zoo sour. You know, they were just tired of, like, you know, because we don't know if they actually got fed. We're just assuming they did, or maybe they just assumed that people fed them all day. So, I mean, if a turtle's too slow to get to something, he may be super hungry and take you with him. So, I don't know. I really don't know. So, yeah, you know, I am sorry that happened to you. I truly, truly am. Yeah, so I do. I feel for you. I do, because that sucks. It does suck, but I don't know what the turtle was thinking. Okay, I don't know if he was barn sour or if he was just like, that's all the food he gets for the day because, you know, it is a petting zoo and you're asked to feed them. I don't know if they fed them on the regular because, you know, there was a time when these places didn't have the regulations they have now. You know, they didn't have people spying on them going, So, you know, I'm assuming that they took care of them, but, you know, it's like a cat, right? When, you know, when I first became introduced to cats, it's kind of like, okay, you know, feeding them snacks was dangerous because, you know, they bite you, not on purpose, but by accident. And they may have tiny mouths, but the teeth hurt. But, same with dogs. I was always afraid of, like, giving a dog like a little milk bone because it's like, ugh, because their teeth come so close to you. So, you know, it's hard to say. I can't speak for the animal kingdom. I do feel bad that happened to you. I do. I truly, truly do. I am Team Sibling, but also Team Turtle. But so I do. I feel for you because that does sting. It does sting a bit. But yeah, I don't know. Or maybe it was just a mean turtle. You know, I mean, I'm sure there's mean animals out there. But yeah. So again, just because you're moving slower doesn't mean you're falling behind. You're just moving with intention. So it's like the very first one says. Slow progress is still progress. Progress is progress. Baby Sibling reminds me of this all the time on this weight loss journey because it's hard. Because, you know, I lose weight, I gain weight, I lose weight, I gain weight. And now that I'm in perimenopause, not my menopause reset happened yesterday. So boo to that. But now that I'm in perimenopause, it's still kind of like everything's fluctuating and everything feels so awkward and abnormal. And, you know, it's just kind of, it's very exhausting as well. So, you know, but then I remember what people always tell me, progress is progress. My own therapist told me, progress is progress. Don't worry about it. Okay. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing it the way you're doing. And, you know, if you have to, just, you know, always drink a lot of water. Water is always going to help you. Speaking of which, I'm still thirsty. But, But yeah, so I don't think there's more I can say on that. I rambled. I didn't think the show would be that long because I didn't think I really had the capacity to hold my own attention that long. I did squirrel several times. And I appreciate you all for making it this far. But I do love the turtle theory. So I'm going to read this one last time. We're just going to go through it and then we'll be done, all right? So number one, and these aren't numbered, okay? It's just the first one. The turtle never rushes, yet it still reaches its destination, reminding you that slow progress is still progress. You don't have to move at everyone else's pace. The right journey respects your timing. Like a turtle, sometimes the safest thing you can do is retreat, not to give up, but to protect your peace. Growth doesn't always look loud and fast. Sometimes it's quiet, steady, and unseen. The turtle carries its home wherever it goes, proof that your comfort should come from within you, not from others. And last but not least, just because you're moving slower doesn't mean you're falling behind. You're just moving with intention. And that is the most important thing you can do for yourself, is to move with intention. If you move too fast, you might miss the point. And you don't want to miss the point. All right, so I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. I'll see you back here tomorrow. It's Thursday, right? I'll see you back here tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, Facebook Live. All lives are public under Shelley Marie Lucas. You can find me, excuse me, across the board on social media. It starts at YouTube. I also upload to TikTok. I cannot upload to Instagram, so I do apologize for that. But if you're on any of the others, Blue Sky Threads, X, or not X, Twitter, Facebook. I also have the Aloha Perspective page on Facebook if you're on Facebook. So you can also see them there. So I kept forgetting I had that page, and now I need to just do more on it. I need to be more creative on it. So so my anti-midlife crisis stuff will probably go there first and then share it over to my regular page. But you're welcome to follow and join on the Aloha Perspective on Facebook. All right. So again, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. And thank you to my girls who are always on. Have a great day.